I had quite a long break between high school and college of about 13, 14 years, maybe more. Um, don't even really recall what I did in high school for mathematics. But coming to the four-year college and starting with calculus, pre-calculus in the summer, then calculus in the fall, it was difficult, to say the least. So I had to come up with creative ways to take notes, know when to stop taking notes and pay attention to what's going on in the classroom. Because sometimes the professor may be saying or doing something and you're so busy just trying to keep up with them that you miss something important. And in a technical course, especially in mathematics courses, it's the little details that you need to be really, really focused on. So I had to, like I said, create strategies that worked for me. And one of them was just taking very meticulous and partitioned notes. When you develop a sense for when the subject matter is kind of going in another direction, and you can block off what you were just talking about in the lecture and move on to the next thing. Just separate it with a thick line. Headers on all the notes, always. That way, for quick referencing, if I want to go back and find a specific formula or a specific theorem that we were talking about, I can always find it because I have everything referenced with headers. And then another thing is utilizing office hours. Office hours, even with the TA, can be incredibly productive and clarify things that are confusing. And if that still isn't enough, then I use a lot of online resources. I use YouTube religiously. There's a few channels that I like to subscribe to and watch their videos about mathematics. And I won't say specific ones just because everybody has to find their own YouTube, whatever it is, whatever their online resource is, and whatever works for them. Because for difficult concepts in math, science, engineering, all the STEM stuff, hearing it explained in many different ways is what helps you understand it. So if your professor explains it one way in lecture and your TA explains it another way in their office hours, and then maybe one of your peers who's very, very well versed in whatever the technical course is explains it in yet another way, you can always find more ways that these concepts can be explained by people who have YouTube videos. So these are like, and they're free, so free resources are always good.
When you're in a technical course that's new to you, most often, in order to understand the material, is to sort of relate it to something else. So you can look at, so if you're in a computer science course and you're talking about algorithms, and you're in a calculus course and you're talking about functions, you can look at an algorithm and say, how can I describe this algorithm with a function? And then you can return to your calculus course and say, wow, that function looks like that algorithm I was looking at the other day. And now you've made some new connection, crossing disciplines, and you're thinking about the material in different ways. So when you're in a technical course that's new to you, it's very beneficial to find a way to connect what you're learning with something that you already know about.
So homework at a four-year college is a lot different than homework in high school and middle school. Homework in a four-year college is not just some basic, if you can meet these basic requirements, then you're okay, and it makes up a large percentage of your grade. It doesn't typically make up a big percent of your grade, but without doing it, without attending lecture and doing your homework, like religiously, you have to be disciplined and sit down and spend the time and do it, especially in technical courses, because the only way that you can really ingrain those skills is by repeated use. So you can't just memorize a formula and then hope to apply it and answer everything on an exam. You have to know, you obviously have to know formulas, but you also have to know how to apply them and how to algebraically manipulate things, and how to, you just have to get a sense for it. And when you're doing your homework and you maybe get one wrong, but you were only off by a little, and you think, oh yeah, okay, so you make the correction because the answer was in the book. One of the odd numbered answers is in there, and you move on to the next one. Don't just move on. Choose another odd number that wasn't assigned so you can check it, but do it. Choose one that's similar to the one that you got wrong and do it over again. And don't make the same mistake. It helps reiterate what the error you made was, and it builds a solid foundation. Everything in these technical courses is so foundational, and each one builds on the next. So if you go from one to the next with a weak foundation, you're just going to keep piling up with a weak foundation, and what eventually happens is you collapse under the weight of the workload, because you can't have any gaps in your understanding of the concepts. You can't take a grad level physics course if you don't know basic mechanics.
At times it can be really challenging to delve into your studies. I think like a lot of students push themselves, and for a lot of people science can be really challenging. For me it was physics. Physics really kicked my butt. But one way I combated this was I went to Barnes & Noble and I bought books for parents to help their kids with their physics homework in like middle school or high school elementary or high school physics. And this broke down like the very basic elements, and it gave me like a stronger platform to actually do college physics. And that really like saved me. And I still struggled, it was still really, really hard, but I had this stronger platform, this better foundation, and it answered all these like questions that I thought were so dumb or simple. And it was all answered in these books because it was middle school, elementary, high school physics.
So preparing for a final exam in a technical course is a little bit different than many other courses. Technical courses require that you memorize certain formulas, memorize certain applications of theorems and definitions. But beyond that, they're often very computation heavy. You have to go in sort of mentally prepared. It's not the same as just kind of scrawling everything you know into a blue book, and the TA grading it can sift through for whatever answer and then you get a grade. This is like, it's very computation heavy. You're going to have to do computations. You're going to have to, there's a right answer. There's no ambiguity. And there's usually more than one way to arrive at that answer, but you have to at least, you can be creative if you want, but you have to know the different ways to arrive at that answer. So preparing for those exams, the whole semester is prepping for that exam. All your homework is prepping for that exam. Doing some study with a group is prepping for that exam. All of these things, going to your office hours, going to see your TA, even if it means just like meeting with your TA for 2 or 3 minutes right after class in the hallway and just chatting with them about some concepts. Getting a really good understanding of the material throughout the whole semester will prep you for that exam like cramming could never do. So you can't just wait until the last few days during reading week or whatever and then just try and do all your studying at once. It's just not going to work. You have to be disciplined and stay on track through the whole semester so that you understand the entire progression throughout the 3 months.
So one strategy that I found particularly useful was the idea of finding a team in any course or discipline that you're taking a lot of classes in. Whenever you begin a course, you should immediately start thinking about who am I going to do this homework with, who am I going to engage with on these ideas, and how can that person and I do this most efficiently. And it's not kind of the old like high school hack where I'll do the odds and you do the evens. It's more me or myself and this other person thinking about ideas and doing the homework together and helping each other to work through the problem sets more quickly. And it's not only problem sets, it goes for reading as well.
In the Army, one of the principal components of leadership development is to simultaneously achieve mastery of your own skills and then also be teaching junior enlisted soldiers how to do the multitude of tasks that we're doing. So one of the ways that we promote the ability to achieve mastery of a skill is, as a junior enlisted, and at any point, you learn one, you do one, and you teach one. And so what happens in this process is you learn the principal components of it, and then so how that translates into college is you're sitting in the lecture, hearing the professor talk, and then you do it. And so what that happens in studying, that happens in reading the papers, that happens in writing the essays. You're doing it. But then there's the component where you achieve the mastery of the principle, and that's where you teach it. And so by working in study groups, you can break down the huge amount of assignments that you have in the studying, and you can achieve mastery in certain portions of it, and then you teach your friends, your peers, the people that you're studying with, how to do it. And what that allows, it allows you to slice up the amount of work, you can delegate the amount of work, and then it also allows you to really ingrain and fully understand the principle before you teach it to them.
Group work can be very, very helpful in college. For one, you can have somebody proofread your own understanding, and you can have that check on what you have learned and make sure that what you've learned is accurate and is going to help you on the test or on that essay.
One of the things about being in the military that is fairly absent when you leave is the sense of camaraderie and the team, being a part of a team that you have in the military. You don't have a drill sergeant who smokes an entire platoon because someone didn't clean their rifle correctly, right? In the military, you all succeed or you all fail. And coming to the university setting, that's not the case. No one's here trying to build a team. And for me, initially, it was a little bit isolating. I didn't know what it was I was trying to do. I didn't know who to look to help me do it. I knew that I was missing something though. And so while I didn't know exactly where I was headed, I didn't have my goal completely developed at this point. But I knew that there were other guys around me, other women that I knew I could work with. They were all pointing in the same direction. We were all trying to figure out the same things. We could work together to accomplish them. And so I developed my own team. I created my own team. And we work, we talk every day, and we're always supporting each other. We're all going through the same challenges and struggles. And essentially what I now have my college friends, which is what everyone has. We have our military friends that you went through all of the struggles with, and then I went through a set of struggles here and challenges here that I've shared with other people, and now we have very strong relationships that will endure for a long time. But I wouldn't be able to accomplish the goals or make my way this far in accomplishing the goals if I didn't have this team who was there to support me.